Hi, we're I'm Christy Thompson,
And I'm Kassia Wedekind.
and we are the authors of Hands Down Speak Out. We would like to welcome you to our first and possibly only video blog, or it also is called a vlog, we understand, as the cool kids call it. So today we are going to share some beginning of the school year tips for Turn and Talk. Turn and talk, as many of you likely know, is when students are gathered together on a carpet or in chairs, and you ask the students to turn to a partner and engage in conversation around a question or a topic. And there are so many reasons why we think Turn and Talk is a really powerful tool now at the beginning of the year and throughout the year. And that includes one, Turn and Talk helps students build relationships with one another through talking and listening. Also, Turn and Talk is an efficient opportunity for all students to get an idea out and hear ideas in a lower pressure environment rather than the whole group, which may be intimidating at this time of year. And three, Turn and Talk is a great listening opportunity for the teacher. They can get down next to the students and hear what they're thinking as they get to know their students as readers, as mathematicians, and as whole people. So today we're going to share 3 tips that we've been playing around with Turn and Talk.
Tip 1, you can consider keeping your Turn and Talk partners the same for a while, maybe a month. So maybe in math, you have a certain set of Turn and Talk partners, and maybe it doesn't have to be the same across all content areas. Maybe in reading, you have another set. But keeping partners the same allows students to get to know their partner a little bit and start to have a relationship with them, especially at this time of the school year. You might consider using a chart that looks a little bit like this to map out where you're sitting in your gathering space, whether you're on a carpet or in chairs together, and mapping out who's going to sit where and helping orient your students to this. It takes a little bit of practice to get used to, but soon students will know exactly where to sit and where to turn to with their partner. We also think about using a little micro lesson like this to help students get to know each other and their partners, so they know that Turn and Talk is about more than just knee to knee, eye to eye, that there are lots of ways of listening to your partner, and we can get to know our partners by asking them how they like to be listened to, and by telling them how we like to be listened to, and maybe brainstorming a little list like this that comes from the students' ideas.
So tell us about tip 2.
I'm ready. Here's tip 2. Tip 2 is that after you do a Turn and Talk, you don't always have to share back to the whole group. This is kind of new learning for me, because I think for a long time I always did a Turn and Talk, and then I said, tell me about what you and your partner talked about, to the whole group, and we would share that out. And that's great to do sometimes, but we don't always need to do that. Sometimes we might use a Turn and Talk at the beginning of the conversation to get a lot of ideas out, maybe before we're reading a book. Maybe we might stop in the middle of the conversation and say, what are you thinking about this idea? And do a Turn and Talk there. Or maybe at the end of a conversation, what are you thinking now about? And sometimes we can share those ideas back, but sometimes we can just trust that students have worthy things worth saying to each other, and that we as a teacher don't need to hear every single thing that's said between students.
Okay, so we're ready for tip 3. And this one's kind of funny, because tip 3 is that your Turn and Talk partners could actually be Turn and Talk trios. And we usually, of course, think about Turn and Talk as partners of 2, but we sometimes like to use groups of 3 strategically. Some examples for times where we might do that are to support emerging multilingual students, such as pairing or putting in a trio, a more confident bilingual student, a monolingual English speaker, and an emerging bilingual all together in a trio, so that they can support each other in that language development. Or you might consider using a trio to support a student who is quieter at that moment or in that subject. And this can relieve some of the pressure that that student's been feeling when they've been told to talk until they gain more comfort and confidence.
So we've shared our 3 tips with you. We're wondering what you all are trying out in Turn and Talk, and we'd love to hear from you on our blog comments or on Twitter or Instagram. And you can also reach us. Here's our Twitter information here. And you can also, if you're interested in learning more about Turn and Talk, you can read about it and a lot more about talk in our book, Hands Down, Speak Out. And on our blog right now, you can download 3 of our micro lessons that are specifically about Turn and Talk for free from the blog section. You can learn about getting started with Turn and Talk, a little more about teaching students how to get to know the listening and talking preferences of a partner, and then just how to build on a strong partnership where students are taking multiple turns and going back and forth in the conversations. We hope to hear from you soon.